Don't know what's crazier, the fact that I've done more than 300 videos, or the fact that I've done more than 300 videos and I've not talked about this subject, and it's one of the most important things to do, aside from tactical study, if you're an adult chess improver, and that is going over master games. Unannotated master games for your openings, annotated master games for your openings, annotated master games not for your openings, all that business I'm going to talk about, and I'm also going to reveal what t-shirt I'm wearing. Very exciting. So, when I was actually training chess and I wasn't just mucking about like I'm doing now, I would go over hundreds of master games every single week, right? Hundreds of master games every single week, but for different reasons. Some master games I would go over really, really quickly. Some I would spend more time on. I'd never ever spend more than 45 minutes going over a master game. Well, very rarely anyway, sometimes I would. So, what are some of the different reasons you will go over master games? Well, one reason is you're going over master games in the opening that you're studying or in the structures that you're interested in. So I do that in the hundreds, probably, well, at least in the dozens, going into maybe 20 odd to 50 odd. And what I'd do, I'd look at my opening structure that I'm interested in, say the Roy Lopez structure, and I'd flick over dozens of master games really, really quickly. So one game per sort of 2 or 3 minutes. Flick, like that. Just getting a general feel for the opening and the different ideas that crop up. So that's one thing I would do. Unannotated, I wouldn't really be interested in, the actual details. I'd just be looking at common themes, common ideas, where the pieces generally go, where white castles, for example, or whatever structure it is. So that's one reason I'd do that, unannotated master games. Another reason I would look at unannotated master games is when I was just interested in looking at a particular player. So I might look at, for example, Paul Morphy, and I've flicked over every single Paul Morphy game in a week, just looking for tactics, looking for ideas, things like that. Same with Capablanca, not all of his games because he's got more than Morphy, but that's just for personal interest. I'm interested in this player, let's see what they play, for example, like that. So I do that. These are all very, very quick, usually on my phone, probably from a database, from things like that. Something that I probably downloaded, so I can do that. So I don't need the internet or anything like that. I can just flick over the games really, really quickly. I can do that when I'm on the bus, when I'm waiting in the queue for the supermarket, I'm at the bank or whatever. Flick, there's a game, bang, done, in the pub, whatever. So I do that, and that's just for getting an overview of stuff. But the second reason I would go over master games, why do you go over master games anyway, is to, improve your own play. Is to look at your own amateur mistakes and this thing that you would do, and then you compare that to an expert and you say, actually, no, I should have been doing this. I should have been exchanging the knight in this sort of position. So get general overviews. And then the second reason is that you go over master games for annotated master games, the quality of the annotations. So, for example, things like the most instructive games of chess ever played by Chernev. That is something to flick over on a much slower basis, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, 20 minutes to 45 minutes, call it. Things like this, world's greatest chess games. Whoops, it disappeared when I put that in front of the camera. Right, the world's greatest chess games, right? You don't need to see the front cover. And books like that. So I would spend 30 minutes to 45 minutes going over those games, and I'll tell you the method I used to use. I'm not saying it's the only method, I'm not saying it's the right way, but it's just the method that I use. What I would do is I would flick over the game without looking at the annotations first. So for example, this most instructive games, let's turn to a random game. Right, Fischer and Berliner. So I'm looking at the game, New York 1960. So I'd go and find that game, I'd put the book down, I wouldn't look at the annotations at all, and I'd flick over that game for 5 minutes, just getting a general overview. That's the first thing I'd do. Stage 1, flick over the book rather quickly, without looking at the annotations. The second thing I'd do, I'd flick over the game a little bit slower, so I'd spend sort of 10 minutes at this time, and I'd maybe pick out 1 or 2 points, and then I would read the annotations, only then. So I've had a quick look at it myself. What I'm doing when I'm going over that game is just, asking myself questions about the game, like, whoa, what's happening in this position? Why didn't he take the knight in this sort of line, or so on and so forth. I'd find things of interest, and then I'd read the annotations, right? And I'd read the annotations and go through some of the side variations, but not all of them, because then I found myself to get swamped if I did that. I'd get swamped with the annotations and the sidelines too much. So I basically stick to the main line, and then I look at some of the key variations. And then what I'd do is then I would maybe go through any other points of interest, and then I put an engine on. So I'd only do that at the end with the engine. And I'd go, actually, this comment is no longer applicable because the engine's going to say, no, actually, you could do this and this and this. But generally what I'm doing, aiming for when I go over it from books like this, is to pick up 1 or 2 really good key ideas from each game and then move on. Right, so flick over a game, half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, like I said. 2 really good, nice nuggets of information I got from that one game, and I move on to the next game. I'd do that again. I'd probably go over 1 game or 2 games a day like that, and I'd probably flick over 20, 25 games very quickly. So I'd probably be going over like that sort of games per day when I was back, training and doing nothing else, basically. So that's what I do in that method. The third method, T-shirt reveal before I got onto the third method. I'm very excited about this. Are we ready? Drum roll, please. Don't worry, it's just a T-shirt. Right. Ta-da! I play chess and blunder. This is incredibly ridiculous, but this is available in the Benedictine on Chessable merch store. I've actually got a merch store. That's insane. Right, at a very good price. Get yourself one for Christmas. It's all good fun. Right, anyway, so the third method for going over master games is to play GTM. Guess the move, right? And guess the move is playing over the game, and this is not flicking over the moves in the game first at all. It's going through it completely blind and then trying to guess what the moves are. And there are a couple of really good books that work. You could do this with any game, to be fair, but with any book, annotated master game book, but it's better with something like one of the move by move series, like Capablanca Move by Move. There are loads of these types of books available, move by move series, and these are really good because what you do, you play over a few moves, and then it'll stop you at a certain point and say, how did white continue or whatever, or ask you a question. Let's just click to an example. Why must white comply? Can't he just bypass and play for a queenside pawn majority? Obviously that makes more sense when you can see the position. I'll put that up maybe. And then what you do, if you're coming bothered, what you do then is, you compare your ideas to the book. Another really great book for that, actually, is this one. It's a very small book. How Good Is Your Chess? Daniel King, and he does a similar thing. You play through about 5 or 6 moves, and he'll stop you. So you should go through that, cover it up with your hand or a piece of paper. A piece of paper is probably better. And he'll say, what should white play next? And what you have to do is, pick out a move, and what he will do is then give you points based on your quality of your moves, like whether it's good or bad, or deduct points off you if it was a terrible move. Right, but stuff like that's pretty good for guess the move. So those are 3 different types of methods that I would employ. There's another method I would do, and that is when you reach a point in a chess game when you're playing a game of chess, and probably a good slow quality game of chess, and when you get to that point where you've no clue what to do, if you're just out the opening, you're in the early middle game position, this is another way I used to use master games. I used to get to that position, then I'd flick through maybe 5, 6, 10 master games, or good quality games based around that position. So, should I exchange queens in this position? I wasn't sure in the game. I spent 5 or 6 minutes looking at that. I probably didn't exchange queens knowing me, because I'm a better player with the queens on the board. But whatever it is, and then you compare it to the master games that you're flicking through, and you see what they did in their continuation. You don't need to read annotations for that. You can just follow the moves, follow the game, and look at the percentages on a database, or who wins or what wins or whatever, and flick the engine on and things like that. So that's another reason to use master games. I was always going over master games all the time, flicking from book to book. And, if you're not going through master games regularly, you're just missing out on a massive resource. And I would stick to, anthologies that are designed, on purpose to improve, something like that, that one. There's other books as well. There's the 50 greatest chess games, Steve Giddens or something like that, most instructive games. Them sorts of anthologies, collected anthologies, are probably better than going over like My Best Games by Karpov. I mean, I've got that as well. I went over them as well. But, you know, you want the most instructive like gems that you're going over when you're looking at master games, really. Yeah, so that's what I would do. Going over master games a lot. You know, do lots and lots of tactics. I would do lots and lots of master games. And then sometimes I would eat, you know, now and again. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments section, because I've no doubt missed a load of things. Like I said, I didn't really plan this, just sort of went on a big ramble, because when I realised I'd not covered this subject. So yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye.